Jeb, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So,
No, I appreciate you having me again, Rick. Good to talk to you, man.
for people that don't know you, you're Jeb Smith. You're out of Huntington Beach, California, correct?
I am Orange County, just in between LA and San Diego.
Love it out there. I used to work that territory. I didn't have that particular area, but I worked for a baking company that delivered to restaurants, and it was
Oh,
owned by the people that own Oro Wheat Bread.
yeah,
And so my territory, get this, there were two district managers. One had Orange County to San Diego, Mexico. So he called his uh, M&M district, which was Malibu to Mexico. And then I had from Van Nuys to Palm Springs.
oh wow.
I nicknamed mine the WDA, which stood for the whole damn area.
Yeah, you got screwed in that deal. It looks like.
I did. I got hosed, and but it's interesting. So I wanted to get you on. I just kind of we touched base a while, quite a few months ago and stuff, and I kind of wanted to chit chat about whether or not you're seeing some of the same things we're seeing in Arizona. As you know, Arizona blames California on everything. You're the sole reason that all of our houses are being bid up, and I always say, well, home prices are going up in Australia and England, Omaha, Nebraska, and Toronto, Canada. So it can't be all California's fault. But we are noticing, I've got a screen here. I don't know if you've seen this before. It's How Money Walks. And it shows the tax records from the IRS. It shows that you lost wealth 18.7 billion to Nevada,
Oh wow.
13.8 to Texas, and we're number 3 at 13.2 billion. And you gained wealth from New York, Illinois, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. When I go
Interesting.
to, yeah, it's fun to go look at this every once in a while. When I go to Arizona, and it shows us that we're gaining, most of our wealth, and this is tax revenue, okay,
Right.
not anything other than that. Your top 13.2. So the exodus from California is in business and whatever is coming over here. And then we're getting people from Illinois, New York, Minnesota, and Washington. We're losing a piddly amount to Texas and Idaho. But that kind of tells a little uh, flying at 30,000 level foot what's going on. But tell me, are you experiencing a severe inventory shortage this month, kind of unexpectedly, like we are right now?
Yeah, so it's funny. So I actually get the Cromford report from another friend of mine who sells property in the Phoenix metro area, right? So that whole market. So I kind of follow what's going on in that overall Phoenix market just to get an idea of what's happening, right? To see if it's cooling. And I saw that you guys are basically started the year with the lowest level of inventory that anyone has seen since they started keeping track. And essentially, that's what we have here in California too. I mean, this year we have almost not a third; it's about 60% less inventory than we did this time last year. So Orange County, 3.3 million people. People probably get tired of me saying that, but somewhere around 3.3 million people. Now, not all of those are homeowners, so that doesn't mean houses, but there's 3.3 million people here. Last year, we had 2,700 or so homes on the market at the peak, at the top of the market. We had 2,700 homes on the market for the entire year. That was the highest level. And we started off the year somewhere around 2,300 or so. This year, we started at about 970, 980. That's it. Not 980,000, not 900, 9,800, 980. And then I think as of yesterday, we had 1,031, right? So way less inventory. And last year we thought it was crazy. So this year it's even more depleted. My market, as of today, we had 74 active listings. Yesterday we had 77, I think. So
That's
we have
rough.
nothing. It's tough.
I
You and I were talking before. It's tough.
Yeah, I saw numbers for Toronto, Canada, which is 6.9 million people. They have 2,900 listings.
Whoa.
And so, and that's Canada. I mean, people from the United States are not moving to Canada. Most of this is all just, all these central banks, just opened the floodgates to keep us going when COVID hit. And this is kind of the result of that. But I think right now, what I'm seeing is the expectation and seasonality that we have that normally has new listings come on in January right before the Super Bowl comes up, and then the buyers come out around Super Bowl. We're not seeing it. And I think it's all COVID related right now.
You know, I know, speaking to potential clients that are sellers, one is a huge lack of options out there, right? People are willing to sell their homes, right? They are potential willing sellers, but they're only sellers if they find a replacement home, something that is
Exactly.
suitable
Yeah.
for them to purchase. And because they can't find that, therefore they're not a seller. And so that keeps inventory, lower than it probably should be, just because of how many people need to make that transition. It would open up more property if they had the opportunity. So COVID isn't, in my opinion, what's holding it back here. Orange County is pretty open for the most part. I mean, even through, the LA is a different market. LA, the mask mandates, the restrictions on restaurants and all of that stuff has been far and above and beyond what Orange County has been where I am. So we're pretty open. We haven't been restricted with regards to that. There's probably some older folks that might be a little bit more cautious, but even then, I don't necessarily think that's the issue momentarily.
Well,
I think
we're
it's
seeing so many cases over here right now that I think people are just not going out and they don't want anybody coming into their house. So I think it's, and I when I say that, thinking that that's maybe 600 homes that would probably normally come on, but we have the same issue here. I'd like the list, but where am I going to go? And do you have any iBuyers over there, like Open Door and OfferPad?
I mean, we do, but the prices are so high here that I mean, where I am in Orange, I mean, in Huntington Beach, for example, I think our median home price now is probably upwards of a million or so. You can't find a single family detached home under 850 anymore. It just so a lot of these iBuyers, Open Door, and these guys aren't really. They've never been heavily, saturated or infiltrating our market. Really, I mean, they've been always been here, but they've never really been a player, in my opinion.
Well, what I'm seeing now is, a couple of years ago, they were 6% of our market. And now I just pulled up, I saw a gal do some statistics on Chandler yesterday. I mean, on Gilbert. So I pulled up Chandler, and of the listings that Chandler had, which was, I think, 163, 33% of them were listed by iBuyers.
Oh wow.
And what it looks like is a growing trend is that the people that are wanting to buy, wanting to sell, but they don't know where they're going to buy yet, are utilizing the flexibility of the iBuyers, and especially with new construction. Say, well, I'm supposed to close in, February, so I'll sell to you. Let's close then. And which I see a lot of that. Of course, a lot of people got burned by Zillow because they said sure, and then you only had $1,000 earnest money, and then they walked away from it. But so I'm thinking that that's probably going to increase the percentage of people utilizing iBuyers, because a lot of people have so much equity that they'll use the iBuyer, and yeah, I'll pay a few more fees, but I don't have to have any showings, and they're going to be flexible on my closing. And there's becoming more and more options for iBuyers besides just Open Door and OfferPad now. In fact, EXP has a thing called Express Offers, where they utilize all kinds
We
of
Coldwell
institutional
Banker,
buyers.
we have a similar thing too,
Yeah,
where
so it's
we're willing
everywhere.
to. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say red tape, but there's so many different layers to that sort of thing that it just doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah,
Well, how do people in their 30s get into a house in your market?
um,
I
you know, not your typical. You don't. Obviously, down payments are a factor, right? You're not. A lot of these people aren't putting 20% down. You got 5 and 10% down buyers buying property, but I've seen over the last year or so, I've had a lot of clients that are able to get gifts from parents. In fact, that'll close one tomorrow. They're putting what? It's basically just under $1 million purchase. and putting just over 10% down, the parents are gifting them money early, right? It's money that they're going to at some point get anyhow, when the family passes on. But the family is like, listen, if it can help you now, let's just give it to you now. And so they're taking that opportunity, and it's working out for my clients. These clients are also friends of mine, so they're able to get into the market with that additional equity that that came from, or additional down payment that came from parents. And I see it from boomers too, right? The grandparents are doing the same thing. I mean, a lot of the grandparents that I've talked to are gifting kids, millennials, money because they see the direction of home prices, and I've had more than a handful of people just say, listen, I feel like they're going to get priced out of the market, and if we don't do something and help them out, so I'd rather them get in now and see them enjoy the property versus getting the money after I pass away, right? I get no enjoyment out of that. So yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's not an easy deal, especially when you heard me you say earlier that here in Huntington Beach where I am, you can't find a single family home under 850. That's crazy. I mean, we're talking
Yeah.
1,200 square foot cookie cutter homes, nothing special about these properties, and 850 would probably gain multiple offers. I mean, it wouldn't sell for anywhere 850. So it's tough for those guys. It's
And we're
going to get
complaining
more
over here that
complicated.
houses are 450. So
You
buyers are
know,
complaining, "I'm getting priced out." It's like, we won't be able to afford it. And I'm thinking, well, they seem to be doing it in California, and how high can prices go in Arizona? I mean, eventually this is going to smooth out. Something's going to correct. I just don't know when or how. I'm not a crasher, so I don't predict it. I don't see any numbers that show that coming. There can always
no,
be a
I agree.
black swan event, but I just don't see it.
I mean, you mentioned earlier Canada, right? So you said
Yeah.
Toronto, right? You said Toronto's 6.9 million, like 2,300 or 3,000. I don't remember what the number was of active listings, but look at where their prices are. They make our prices look silly. I
Yeah,
mean, their
their
prices
average is
are
1.2 million.
correct. I mean, that's so look at that and how many buyers and the lack of inventory they have. So when people say, well, home prices can't go up any higher, okay, well, talk to me in 6 months and tell me if you feel the same. And that's essentially what we said all last year. It's, this is just like you ordering something offline, a refrigerator, washer, and dryer, and not being able to get it in a certain period of time because there's a bottleneck on supply. The same thing on housing. The problem with housing is it's not easily corrected in a year, or by adding a couple more people on a supply chain. This is something that's going to take years, probably decades to some extent to figure out. Now, I don't think home prices are going to appreciate for decades, but until you balance the supply and demand, you've got an imbalanced market, which means higher home prices.
Yeah, and I think right now, with our inventory as low as it is right now, I mean, just it's every you look at it every morning and go, really? Thursdays it always goes up and didn't go up, and so we're sitting at 5,600 units right now in our market, and yet the buyer traffic that normally follows it has backed off a little bit. I track the 7-day moving average, and I'm comparing it to last year, and the chart was almost identical. It's like I could copy and paste that same area, move it over, and there we go. And remember last year, inventory started out historically low in January, but it started building up, and then sales just went bonkers. And right now, people feel that interest rates are just going to keep climbing and climbing. Yet today they retreated. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it it's kind of looking like 3.6 might be a technical ceiling. I don't know, but I don't see the rates flying off the charts yet this year. But I think between the demand that's already there and exasperated buyers and the inventory being so low, if we um, if COVID loosens up to where everybody feels like they can just go freely and everything, I think this first quarter is going to see numbers we haven't seen at all. I think we're going to look back in March and say, wow, what the heck just happened?
I don't disagree with that. I think the main thing keeping the market from going bananas here and where I am is the lack of supply. I mean,
Same
that's
here.
it.
Same here.
I know multiple people that would be buyers today that would write offers today if there were homes that match what they were looking for. Simple.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you prior to this call, um, I just listed a property for 2.7 yesterday. It's a coming soon. I received 2 calls last night from people wanting to see it. And it's not available to see until Saturday. I wrote an offer on a property prior to our call at the asking price on a property that, in my opinion, is priced high. I told the buyer that. He's okay with it. He's a cash buyer. It's a 10-day close. I mean, these are, I put an offer in on a property over the weekend. 650 was the asking price. We offered 750. It sold for over 8. I mean,
yeah, my son
I'm
lives
not
in
making these things up. It's crazy.
yeah, my son lives in North Hollywood, and he's renting, and he has been renting for a long time. And he works in one of the animation studios up there, and he's got a lot of friends over there. And I saw them over the Christmas holiday, and they're just hanging their heads low. They're like, we'll never be able to buy a home. And I go, well, don't say never. I just don't know at what age it's going to raise its.
It's
So,
scary. I mean, that is scary. Like, if you
yeah,
wanted to live in Southern California, it's not that you can't own a home. You can buy a home. You just might not be able to buy it where you want to be, and that's a problem.
yeah. And so you're seeing some of those studios and stuff locating to another creative market like Austin, Texas. And
Right?
he's actually in Portland. He was in a friend of his has an animation studio just north of Portland in Washington State, where he's got a big studio in the garage. He's up doing some animation up there. Then he's got somebody in Portland that wants to interview him. I think it was today, but he doesn't want to move to Portland. So, but it's interesting. Running at altitude says unless people are moving out of state, how can supply increase within the local market? People are not selling to rent. Well,
Yeah, I mean, there is truth to that, but I will say I do know people that are selling and renting for one reason or another, right? Because they think the market's going to retract, because they are trying to figure out, the next move or the lack of options out there. So they're doing it temporarily. It's not the most common thing, right? Most people that are selling are buying something else. So it's a one for one, right? You gain a property on the market, but you lose one because they're buying one. And so the inventory never really changes. And I think that's a big problem, right? Is because a lot of the people that are making that transition have gained equity over the last, couple of years. And now they have the funds to be able to buy that new, bigger up leg property. And so they're selling that, maybe that first time home buyer type property, buying something in the middle, in between that and maybe the final purchase, if you will. And so there's just that, again, you exchange one for the next, and then there's nothing changes with that supply.
well, there's hope down the road because eventually I'll end up in a care center.
But it
So,
might be cheaper to stay in your house than it does to go live in a care center, and that's the thing.
oh my gosh, I know. We went down that road with my dad. I couldn't believe it's
It's
all
like
done on
ten
a
to
point
fifteen
system.
thousand dollars here locally to go to one of those things a month.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My dad's got up to 6,900 a month, and we had to get very creative to cover those costs, and we did it within $200 before he passed away. Um, Maddie says my rental also got me more square footage to work from home. So what he did was he sold his California home and then he invested in Arizona. So that's it's working out pretty good for him there. Well, I just wanted to get you on really quick just to kind of do a brief overview of California and Arizona, and we're kind of all in this together, and it's gonna be interesting to watch. I follow your channel and like to look at your insights and stuff. And there's a little YouTube community. Um, you're not a crasher, so I enjoy watching. I just don't like the sensationalists that are on there. There's one guy that always stuck like this, like I,
Nope, there is, and yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's frustrating to some extent, because the people that are out there are truly trying to do good, so to speak, and help people be informed so that they can make the right decisions, right? And that's what it's about, is just providing the education. We're not here trying to sell you a house or help you buy a house. We're just giving you the info so that you can determine whether or not it's the right time for you. And then you got the other side, basically,
yeah,
uh,
I like to say that not only do
with
you
the
understand all the
sensationalism.
numbers in real estate, but now you can be a hit at all the cocktail parties.
Hardly.
Well, Jeb,
Man.
thanks again for your time, and get up there
Yeah,
and
for
sell
sure,
that
man. We'll
house
have to
tonight.
have you on the channel to talk about Arizona too. So I got to figure out some timelines that work, but we'll do it. We'll do it the other way around.
Anytime. Sounds great. Thanks again for your time.
Yes, sir. All right.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Rick. All right, guys. Bye bye.